Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video. And in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Prochazka versus Pereira fight. If you are new around here though and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do indeed like the video, and let's get straight into it. So going into this fight, Prochazka is 29-3-1 with 25 KOs and 3 submissions, and Pereira is 8-2 with 6 KOs and no submissions. This fight is for the vacant UFC light heavyweight title. Prochazka's last fight was a win via submission in round 5 versus Teixeira, and Pereira's last fight was a win via split decision versus Blachowicz. Pereira has been out with an injury and hasn't fought since June of 2022, that injury being a shoulder injury. Pereira is 36 and Prochazka is 31. Speak a bit more about what I've been saying. So, of course, this being for the now vacant title, Jamal Hill vacating it, and after Prochazka vacated it, and fair play to him. It's nice to see there's not a hold up in the division, and everything's kind of managing to move along nicely. And to be fair, saying that Prochazka has been up, there hasn't really been a hold up, and there has been some still great fights in the division, and so that's credit to the UFC and the light heavyweight division being one of the kind of one of the better states it's been as of recent years, because there was a short period where within recent years where maybe it wasn't the best, coming off the times and periods where John Jones were fighting everything. That little gap in between, there was a little bit of an off time, but now it's back to being at a high level. Prochazka, of course, his last fight was a victory, that being against Teixeira, and him winning the title off of that. It was a fight which, to be honest, he probably was going to lose if it had been finished 10 seconds, I believe, later or something like that. But Prochazka managed to get a submission and push through and fight to the very end, and that's really a statement which had to be made, and it shows to the young fighters, giving a message that you do always have to fight to the end, you can't ever really give up, and that was good to see. But like I mentioned, he was possibly losing that. Prochazka's last fight was a close fight versus Blachowicz. Blachowicz, a very top operator in the division, he's been around fighting for a while, that being his debut in the light heavyweight division, Pereira. But yeah, no, he looked solid, he looked good. Coming off the defeat to Adesanya, people were possibly questioning how he would look, but he looked solid, he looked good, kind of showed what he wanted to show, and was seemingly to an extent back to his best after quite a big defeat versus Adesanya. Of course, Prochazka being out for a while now, that shoulder injury was a bad injury, and so of course, is that going to play a factor going into this fight? How has it healed? Has it fully healed? Questions always has to be answered when fighters come back from injuries, especially big injuries, so that's going to have to be seen. Pereira always going to have that kind of age deficit against him now in the division. Now the likes of Teixeira has gone, and I mean, it's not really seemed to stop him at the moment, and he's just coming into the UFC late, that's all it is, and that's why he has been moving fast to an extent. Also on this card is Aspinall vs Pavlovich for the interim UFC heavyweight title, in which I think Aspinall will win via unanimous decision. I am so excited for this fight. Of course, I don't really want to sway bias into this too much, but there is a bias with, to be fair, everything I say, but there's a bias for Aspinall from me, just because I am such a big fan of him, being an English lad and all of that, and he's one of my favourite fighters at the moment. But I genuinely think Aspinall could and will win via unanimous decision. It's going to be a very tough fight. Pavlovich is on a killer's run at the moment and is stopping everybody in the first round, and so it's just, if Aspinall can get through the first round, which I'm sure is going to be incredibly tough, but with the movement of Aspinall being that much different to every other fighter in the division, I think he possibly could, and if he gets through it, then I think Pavlovich could tire and just be unsure of what to do, because it's been so long since he's have to deal with that. And so yeah, I'm going to go with an Aspinall unanimous decision victory, because I think he can drag Pavlovich into deep waters and really put it on him in the third, the fourth, the fifth round. I believe it's a 5-round fight, I hope it is, and yeah, be able to get the victory. Going back to the main event, Prochazka as a fighter, he's unorthodox, he's a striker, got good shot selection, he's powerful, he will switch stance, he's got good timing, finds gaps, big hammer fists will be thrown from him, and was thrown in that last fight from him. He will try to bully you, he's got great combinations, a solid jab, He's a pressure fighter. He'll fight to the end. He's accurate. He can flip momentum. He's tough, and he can also grapple. Just speak about that last point of him being able to grapple. People were saying going into that fight versus Teixeira that he didn't really have much in the way of grappling, but he really proved that he could. And obviously, he was on the back foot in that kind of grappling aspect throughout the majority of the fight, but he managed to hold his own, and even in them tough times, he managed to get through them and prove that he's not a terrible grappler, by far not. And the fact that he was able to flip the momentum and then be able to get the submission win as well did make a statement and really silence any of them haters. But with the striking aspect, I feel like most people are expecting this to be a striker versus striker type fight, and obviously Prochazka could go and take it to the ground and really switch it up, but I feel like everybody's assuming it won't be. And if you're going off striking, that shot selection, that power is very impressive, and the fact he is quite unorthodox, then he'll throw from quite unorthodox angles in the process as well, and switch stance, and, like I mentioned, and work off the jab quite well, and always kind of catch you with different types of shots that you're not really expecting for. Them knees, them elbows, is something you really got to be kind of maybe not expecting, but just always aware of against Prochazka. Negatives about him: he's got a low guard, he'll keep his chin in the air, he can be outworked on the ground, he can be taken down relatively easily, he's open to counters, he's not got loads of head movement, he can come in a bit eager at times, he can be put onto the back foot at points, he will headhunt, he's got a lack of kicks, he's been hurt in fight, he tires, and he can kind of also lean in on his punches as well. The fact that he is a good striker and that shot selection and combinations he throws are very impressive, but he's got a low guard, he'll keep his chin very much in the air, and it's defensive things that he doesn't really have that much of. Attacking wise, it's very entertaining, but defensive wise, there's not really that much of it. Striking wise, and the fact he has got the lack of kind of defensive movement and all that, it means he's going to be open to get hit. And if you're getting hit by a person like Pereira, and I mean, we have seen Prochazka hurt. He was hurt in the Reyes fight. I mean, I think he even said it himself in an interview. He was knocked out and then kind of came back round from another punch. So the fact that he has been hurt and against possibly seen as what lesser punchers, Pereira might be able to hurt him there, and especially if there are opportunities available to hurt him, it will be interesting to see how that plays out. Pereira as a fighter: positives, powerful, aggressive, physically strong. He will push you back. He's also a striker. He's composed. He will utilize kicks. He will also let his hands go and is a great finisher. He knows when he's got you hurt. He will punch through any kind of guard, and he finds angles well. And the fact that he can sit at quite a close range when he's striking and be relatively comfortable at a close range, I feel like Prochazka, I would say, possibly is the more comfortable at the close range because of that shot variation that maybe Pereira has a bit less of. But I would say Pereira has the more composure and is happy to switch up the shots and find the angles and just be happy to just work off that and know that he's got you where he wants you. And it's not many fighters can do it. Like I said, Prochazka can be even a bit eager at times, and that's what's gotten him taken down in that last fight of STXR at Prochazka at points. But yeah, Pereira, and I would say he's the physically stronger guy. I would say he is the more powerful puncher. It's close, but I would say that he possibly is. And he will punch through any sort of defence, which, to be fair, lack of defence that Prochazka will have, and that means, like I said, he can definitely hurt him, and it's going to make this a very entertaining fight. And negatives about him: he'll walk onto shots, he's not really got much of a head movements, he can drop guard in the process as well, he's been hurt in fights, he's less comfortable on ground in my opinion than what Prochazka is. He's happy to weather the storm when that being on the ground, and he's happy to just kind of lose around to just accept it. He stands upright, kind of similar to Prochazka at times, but Prochazka's possibly a bit lighter on his feet at points. He can smother a little bit in close when he does come in for an attack. He's very much open to counters, and I mean, it's a similar kind of thing to Prochazka, and he will also tire in fights. So striking wise, they're relatively similar. There's not loads of differences. Of course, Pereira utilising kicks and possibly being a bit more composed, but negatives wise, the defence of both fighters aren't really crazily good, so it makes for a good fight, an entertaining fight. And yeah, I'm sure it's going to deliver. Prochazka is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Prochazka will win via TKO in round 4. I think Prochazka will just work him down with punches, and it's just whoever will be put on the back foot will be interesting to see how they can react. And I think if you can get Pereira on the back foot and catch him with shots, then it's shown that you can hurt him, and that's what Adesanya showed. And I think that Prochazka will possibly get a late stoppage, but I wouldn't surprise me if the early rounds could go to either fighter, and then yeah, Prochazka gets the late stoppage. Who could he go on to fight next? Hill. I don't know how long he's going to be out of his injury, so you never know. The winner of the seemingly rematch that's going to be happening versus Ankalaev and Walker. That would make for a great fight, either of them. Be great to see Walker finally get a title shot, to be honest, but of course he has to get for Ankalaev. Or Blachowicz, still a top contender, only just losing to Pereira, and that could still make for a great fight in the process as well. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like if you didn't, like, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.